carnival hides many stories, but one woman came carrying a secret she buried 10 years ago. She did not come to dance. She came to see if the child she abandoned would recognize her or forget her forever. They say December in Calabar does not sleep, even the air dances. By the time the sun begins to sink, the city is already awake, drums warming their skins, costumes whispering inside bags, streets stretching wide like they know something big is coming. That year, the Calabar Carnival promised to be louder than ever. But for one woman, it would be quieter. It would be lonelier and heavier. On the morning the carnival began, Ayanti stood alone at Marion Road, watching men tie colourful banners from pole to pole. Red, yellow, green, blue, so many colours they almost hurt the eyes. She had lived in Calabar all her life, born here, raised here, loved here once. Yet that morning she felt like a visitor. She felt like a stranger in her own homeland. She felt total emptiness within herself. Her slippers were worn. Her dress was plain. Her hair was tied back without care. She did not come for the carnival. The carnival came to her. 10 years earlier, Ayanti had danced on these same streets, not as a spectator, as a queen. She was once part of a band, young, fearless, glowing. People used to call her Carnival Fire. When she danced, even the drums followed her. But life has its own rhythm, and sometimes it breaks the music. The crowd began to gather by noon. Tourists, vendors, children with painted faces, foreign accents mixing with local laughter. The smell of roasted corn floated through the air. Pepper soup steamed from roadside pots. Someone laughed loudly. Someone else argued over change. Someone else said, "Omo, today go loud, oh I swear down." Calabar was alive. Ayanti stood there by the road watching people being exited. She was holding a small nylon bag. Inside, it was a folded piece of cloth, old, faded, but carefully kept. Her old carnival costume. She didn't know why she brought it. Maybe memory pulled her hands without asking. Maybe her heart was tired of silence. She watched a group of young dancers pass by, their costumes bright, their energy wild. One of the girls laughed, spinning fast. For a second, Ayanti smiled. Then her chest tightened, because she remembered dancing like that before sickness came, before promise broke, before people stopped calling, before she got tossed out like she was nothing. The drums started, slow at first, then deeper, then louder. Boom, boom, boom. The ground itself seemed to respond. The carnival had begun. As the procession moved forward, Ayanti followed at a distance. Not inside the crowd, not outside it either. Just near enough to remember. The bands passed one after the other, each telling a story through movement. But when band 3 approached, Ayanti froze. She knew that rhythm. She knew that beat. Her heart began to race. At the front of the band was a young woman, tall, confident, dancing like the road belonged to her. The crowd cheered. Someone shouted her name. Ekaete. Ayanti's breath caught. Ekaete, her daughter. 10 years ago, Ayanti had made a choice. Not an evil one, just a desperate one. She was sick, very sick. The doctors asked for money she did not have. The man who promised marriage, whom also was Ekaete's father, disappeared with no trace of him. Her family said they could not help. Even the dance band she belonged, the band leader and members tossed her out like she never existed. Nobody could help her. And Ekaete. Ekaete was only 5 years old. So Ayanti did what many women never speak about. She gave her child away, not to strangers. To a rich woman who promised school, care, a future, but signed the documents provided by the woman she'll never show herself in front of the child ever again, and if she ever broke the rules, she'll get locked up. Ayanti cried until there was no more tears in her eyes, but she told herself it was love. She said this one decision will give the child an opportunity to grow in a better atmosphere and give her a better life. But love still hurts. Love still breaks her heart and haunts her every single day. Now Ekaete danced past her, alive, successful, glowing. She did not recognize Ayanti. How could she? Ayanti had aged beyond her years. Pain writes fast on the face. The band moved on. The music swallowed the moment, and Ayanti stood there, shaking. She could leave. She should leave. But something inside her whispered, "Stay." So she stayed. Later that evening, rain threatened the sky but never fell. Lights came on. The carnival changed mood, from noise to magic. That was when it happened. One of the dancers slipped. Not badly, but enough to stop the movement. The music slowed. The crowd murmured. Ekaete stepped forward instinctively, helping her teammate, and as she bent down, her necklace fell. It dropped right at Ayanti's feet. Ayanti stared. Her knees went weak because she knew that necklace. She had tied it herself. Years ago, before letting go, her fingers trembled as she picked it up. Ekaete turned. Their eyes met. Time slowed. Ekaete frowned slightly. "Thank you," she said politely. Her voice was calm. But then she paused. She looked again. Something stirred. Not recognition, but feeling. "Do I know you?" Ekaete asked softly. The crowd waited. The drums were silent. Ayanti swallowed. She wanted to speak, wanted to run, wanted to disappear, all at the same time. But her voice came out anyway. "No," she said, "but I know you." Silence hung heavy. Ekaete nodded slowly. She took the necklace. Then, almost without thinking, she hugged Ayanti. A simple hug. A human one. The crowd clapped, thinking it was part of the performance. But Ayanti broke. Tears fell. Quiet. Uncontrolled. Ekaete pulled back. Confused. "Are you okay?" she asked. Ayanti smiled through tears. "Yes," she whispered. "I am okay now." The band moved on. The carnival continued. Fireworks lit the sky. But Ayanti did not follow. She turned back and walked home. That night, Calabar slept. But Ayanti didn't. She sat on her bed, holding the nylon bag which contained her old carnival costumes. For the first time in 10 years, her heart felt lighter. First time in 10 years, she felt happy again. She had seen her daughter alive. Strong, happy. That was enough. 3 days later, Ekaete couldn't rest. She asked questions. A costume assistant remembered the woman. A roadside vendor remembered where she stood. A cleaner remembered seeing her walk toward an old street. Piece by piece, Ekaete followed the trail until she stood in front of a small house. She knocked. When Ayanti opened the door, Ekaete was holding the necklace. Ayanti opened the door slowly. Ekaete stood there, alone, holding the necklace. "I don't know why," Ekaete said, "but I couldn't stop thinking about you." Ayanti's legs shook. She felt like melting away, but hugged Ekaete tightly and wept heart out. Some truths don't need introduction. Some hearts already know. The Calabar Carnival ended. The banners came down. The streets returned to normal. But for Ayanti, the carnival had given her back something priceless. Not forgiveness yet. Not answers yet. But hope. Because sometimes the biggest celebration is not the drums. It is the moment a lost story finds its way back home. Sometimes life forces people to make choices they will never forgive themselves for. Not every abandoned child was unloved. Not every woman who walked away wanted to leave. Some sacrifices are made in silence and carried for years. The Calabar Carnival teaches us this. The streets may forget, the drums may stop, but the heart remembers. And when the time is right, truth finds its way home.